Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. I hope you guys are doing well. Smash the like button. As always, I always ask you guys to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel and share the videos. I really appreciate the support, as you guys are aware, as you guys know. Okay, so let's get straight into this. Guys, there was an article put up and that said that Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and Canelo Alvarez were the three best fighters of the 21st century. I got asked by one of my followers on Instagram that what do you make of that? Do you think those three were the best fighters of the 21st century? So I assume the 21st century is 2000 onwards, right? Um do I think these guys were the best fighters of the 21st century? Now there's been some great fighters in the 21st century. Great fighters. Um Looking at, if we look at, heavyweight, uh cruiserweight even, we look at, middleweights and welterweights and lightweights. There's been some really good fighters. There's been some fighters that um, deserve a mention. But I do agree. I do think these three were the best, and I'll tell you why. For me, I think the consistency at the highest level, the performances at the highest level, and the amount of the depth in their resume. I don't think there's many other fighters that can compare. Canelo's beaten 18 world champions. Pacquiao's beaten 22. I think Mayweather's beaten 23, or might be the other way around. But their resume is unbelievable. Mayweather's resume is great. Pacquiao's resume is unbelievable. Like, when you think about Pacquiao's resume, Pacquiao's got Morales, Barrera, Marquez, um, you know, he's got Thurman, he's got Jesse Vargas, he's got Cotto, Hatton, um, Margarito, flipping hell. The list goes on. It's endless. I've missed so many. It's literally Mosley. The guy's fought everyone. Mayweather's fought Corrales, Gatti, Hatton, um, Victor Ortiz, Guerrero, and some of these guys aren't great, but they're all world class. Maidana, um, you know, Demarcus Chop Crawley, man. They fought some great fighters. Zab Judah, Miguel Cotto. Um, Bloody hell, he's fought a lot of great fighters. Castillo, Mayweather fought twice. He fought Maidana twice. He fought Marquez as well. Um, yeah, especially Pacquiao and Mayweather's resume. The amount of Hall of Famers they've beat. Yeah, they're really great fighters. And to be honest with you, and Canelo's going in that same direction. Canelo hasn't got the depth in terms of the talent that those guys beat in Pacquiao and Mayweather. But that's not really Canelo's fault, because Canelo hasn't really got the fighters in around his division with the names that Mayweather and Pacquiao had. So Mayweather and Pacquiao were able to kind of fight all the top fighters and fight Hall of Famers because there was fighters around. Unfortunately, Canelo doesn't really have a lot of Hall of Famers. His fight with Golovkin, he had close fights with Golovkin. Golovkin was definitely a Hall of Fame fighter, and I definitely think Canelo won the second fight, but Golovkin was a really good fighter. Canelo, again, he's moving up to cruiserweight now. He's trying to do things to create history, to try to get to the level of Mayweather Pacquiao, which is not easy to do. I know some of Canelo fans that say that, he's better than Mayweather and Pacquiao. I think it's hard because those guys, like I said, beat a lot of Hall of Famers, man. Mayweather beat De La Hoya, Pacquiao beat De La Hoya. Like, honestly, those guys have got so many great fighters. And not. Here's the thing: not all of them were in their primes when they fought them. But the thing is that Canelo's fought a lot of guys that weren't in their prime. You know, that's just unfortunately how the cookie crumbles sometimes. That's how it works. You don't get to fight everybody in their prime, but nevertheless, if you look at Mayweather and Pacquiao's resume, it's unbelievable. Canelo might not ever be able to top their resumes just because of the fact that although Canelo's gonna probably I think he might even surpass them in terms of the number of world champions they've beat, but the quality of opposition might not be there. So, for example, Mayweather and Pacquiao beaten so many Hall of Famers, whereas Canelo doesn't really have a lot of those guys, and it's not his fault. It's just what it is at the time. There isn't that much great competition like there was in Pacquiao and Mayweather's era. Oh yeah, I forgot Mayweather also beat Canelo. I know it was a young green Canelo, but that's another guy on his resume. Like I said, both Mayweather and Pacquiao have got unbelievable resumes. But the reason why I think these three are the best is because of consistency. I think it's the way Canelo is performing. Canelo right now is performing. He's so consistent, and these guys have had long careers. Mayweather, well, how long is he? 20 years plus. Pacquiao's 20-year plus. They've had long careers at the top. And for me, that's what makes you great, consistency at the top. Most guys have 10, 12, 13 years. And like, to be honest, most fighters don't have like 10, 15, 20, 10, 15, years at the top. 15 years at the top like those guys did. Generally, they have like 5, 6 years where they're the best. And then after that, they go on the slide in boxing. Boxing's a very tough game. And after 5, 6 years, you normally see fighters starting to decline. Bernard Hopkins was another one that had longevity. And he's also went on for ages. I just don't think Bernard was as good as Canelo, Mayweather, or Pacquiao. Although he was, like I said, his longevity, he was a great fighter, had good skills. I just don't think he was as good as those three. I think Roy Jones was a great fighter. The only thing is the 21st century, Roy Jones, was he the same Roy Jones? I think Roy Jones's end part of his career has really ruined his reputation a little bit because Roy Jones has been knocked out many times as well. And although he was a great fighter, unfortunately for Roy, I think his latter part of his career with some like being knocked out and some of his losses don't look so great now on his resume. And people forget about how good you were in your heyday. And in his heyday, he was exceptional. He was probably as good, if not better, than, some people think Roy Jones was better than Mayweather, Pacquiao, and like Canelo. There'll be many people out there that think he's better. In prime for prime, he was so athletically gifted, so talented. This guy was like, some people have said like he was as close to being an invincible fighter as some people saw. He was that gifted, that great, Jones. But Jones was always a fundamentally flawed fighter, but he was so athletically gifted that he was able to get away with it. When in his young days, his reflexes was just so hand speed. He was just like, he was ridiculous. But as he got older, obviously that started to diminish. And usually fighters like Roy Jones, David Haye was a little bit like that. Of course, David Haye wasn't as good as Roy Jones or nowhere near that level. But David Haye was a bit like that. They can't really adapt their styles. Whereas someone like Bernard Hopkins was all about using his boxing brain. He had a very good defense, and he used that effectively. Hence why he had a much longer career, and he had more longer at the top than someone like Roy Jones. So even though Roy Jones was probably a better fighter than Hopkins, Hopkins had more longevity at the top. Like, I won't say he was a better fighter in the sense that he was more naturally gifted. So he was better that way, but Roy Jones may have had the better boxing IQ, the ability to adapt better than Roy Jones. Hence why his career was longer. The longevity there was longer. And that's why a lot of people have Bernard Hopkins above Roy Jones. Because when Roy Jones started getting older, he started losing a lot more, where Bernard Hopkins still continued to win into his late 40s. And obviously that's crazy to think a guy can be going on into his 40s and still winning championship level fights. But that was Bernard Hopkins. Now, in terms of Canelo, Mayweather, and Pacquiao, those guys had periods like Pacquiao was a bit funny because Pacquiao had periods where, like, one period in his career where he was just looked unbeatable. See, Pacquiao in his prime, that 4 to 5 year run he had, he was sensational. And don't get me wrong, he never, like, he had a 4, 5, 6 year window, and he just was performing at such a high rate. His level of performance was just on another level. But then even when he diminished, he was still so good. He was still beating champions. Like, he beat Thurman in 2019. He beat Thurman in 2009. That tells you how great Pacquiao was. He was just a phenomenon. So these three, for me, have definitely been the best fighters of the 21st century. I think, like I said, for me, consistency, skill, talent, of course, all of that plays a part on who's a great fighter. But consistency is definitely important. Consistency is important because that's what makes you great. Being consistent, doing it over and over again. And Mayweather, Pacquiao, and Canelo, like, Canelo's already had what, nearly 70 fights. Nearly had 70 fights. You know, when Mayweather he was 50-0. Pacquiao's had a load of fights as well. I know Pacquiao might have more losses than Mayweather and Pacquiao, but Pacquiao, like, literally moved up and down weight classes, and he dominated for a very long time. And not just when he was dominating, he was looking sensational doing it. He was looking more sensational than Pacquiao and Canelo ever have. You know, Canelo's dominating now, but, you know, when Pacquiao was dominating, he was just an absolute beast. You know, I haven't seen anyone more sensational than Pacquiao in his prime. I haven't. Pacquiao was sensational in his prime. So, to be honest, you can make a case for all three guys. I think the consistency was unbelievable. From Canelo right now, the consistency is unbelievable. And Mayweather and Pacquiao just the same. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.